Hi friends, so I was just skimming around the net, and I came across this video which said what would happen if all humans vanished from the planet. And it was somebody was asking this particular Indian teacher that question. And it's funny, it's a funny question really. I have to say that I've often been amused at us as a species, how we seem to think that this planet is in some ways, well, I'm talking generally now, that this planet in some ways just won't be the same without humans, that we're so important, you know, we're the crown of creation and all of this sort of thing. And that this whole planet is really, you know, really basically ours, that we own it. And since becoming vegan, I've often found that an amusing kind of a thing, but I have to say when I became vegan, it became very apparent to me that I had those kinds of feelings about other animals, that they were here on the planet, but they weren't as important as us. And the reason I say that I must have felt that, because I was eating, wearing, and using those animals. They were on my plates, they were on my back, they were something that it was just something that I didn't really think about, because I'd been indoctrinated from birth, and society had indoctrinated me to believe that these animals are here for us to use. They're not as important as us, and that's what their purpose is in a way, or to look at, you know, as entertainment. And so that's something that I must have had as an attitude, a speciesist attitude, because otherwise I would have been vegan if I hadn't thought that. And of course, there's a lot of us who are not vegan who feel like the planet, we want the planet to survive. Of course, the planet will survive, but we want the environment to survive, you know, this climate crisis. And we want other animals, we want species to survive this climate crisis. And we want our own species to survive. But when we're saying that we want other species to survive, we're sort of picking and choosing what species we want to survive, and we still think that we can continue on eating animal products and have that outcome. That, you know, as long as we get rid of fossil fuels and fracking and all that kind of thing, that you know, and reduce carbon emissions to zero, that kind of thing, that everything will be okay. But we don't want to look at the part that we are playing in the demise of our environment and the sixth mass extinction that's happening right now. We don't want to look at our part, because we think that all these other things will fix the problem. So anyway, when I see this Indian teacher, he said, well, you know, if all insects died today, we'd be gone in no time. And, you know, the smallest of sentient beings basically determine our future. And of course, insects are dying, by the way, in massive proportions, because of what we're doing to the planet, and also because of animal agriculture, which is causing a huge problem, huge devastation. And I'm going to show you that meme again, if you haven't seen it, about the largest science study to date. 114 countries, 40,000 farms from farm to fork. And the outcome was so this Indian teacher was saying, you know, so if all the insects, you know, sort of died tomorrow, we'd be gone. But what would happen if we all vanished, which is very much on the cards in the future? Just say we all vanish, well, the planet would flourish. The planet would flourish and eventually would return to something not quite what it is now, because we've done too much damage, and it might take millions of years to recover. And there'll be a whole different kind of species on this planet, because it's likely that we're going to take most species with us. But, you know, that's the thing. If we vanished as a species, the planet would actually flourish. And so this idea that we're so important, that we inherently have in our psyche, that somehow we're the most important species on the planet, when in fact we are basically destroying this planet, and it's going to take millions of years to recover, and we are most likely going to go extinct, and we're going to take a whole lot of other species that were completely innocent and just happened to have the misfortune of being on the planet with us. So I don't know why we sort of still hold on to this idea. And it doesn't matter if we have a technological bent, because we don't know how to use that technological bent in any wise fashion. I mean, the sort of nonsense that scientists are working on, and I think, why on earth are they working on these ridiculous whims that we have, trying to sort of introduce all this sort of ridiculousness into the equation when we're on the brink of extinction, when we should all be working towards avoiding this imminent human extinction, imminent other species extinction. You know, we really, really lack a wisdom and an ethic that is essential really for survival, but it's also something that we just appear to lack, and I don't see that happening for us in time for sure. But even if we did not go extinct this century, I'm not sure that we would ever be able to have the wisdom to wind back the sort of insanity that we've created on this planet. It was kind of refreshing to see a human talking this way about, you know, sort of our species and putting it into perspective for people, because it gets really sort of sad seeing ourselves sort of thinking that other species have to be like us for them to be as important as us, when look what we're doing to one another and to other species. Because we're not vegan, we're torturing and killing 1 trillion land and aquatic animals every year for trivial reasons, and mostly palate pleasure, because we don't need animal products at all to survive, and we can easily meet all our nutrition requirements from plants and other non-animal sources. So the only reason we're killing 1 trillion plus land and aquatic animals every year is because we think they taste good. And that's just kind of really, really, you know, there's nothing sensible or sane about that. And we're also destroying the planet. And that's the last bastion of what people seem to be able to want to acknowledge, is that animal agriculture is a major driver of the climate crisis. And eventually, animal agriculture will have to end because it is completely unsustainable. But wouldn't it be better if we just stopped it anyway? Stopped it rather than have it stopped because we couldn't sustain it? It's not sustainable now, and it hasn't been sustainable for a long, long time. And that's putting aside the carnage that we are causing to sentient animals, just like the ones we fetishize, the dolphins, the whales, etc. The carnage we are causing, the unnecessary carnage. So why don't we just, instead of waiting until animal agriculture has to stop because it's unsustainable, because it takes up too much water, because there's no land left, because we won't be able to feed the population, will require so much more food than animal agriculture could ever provide. And I put food in quotes because I don't see animal flesh and secretions and all of that as food. But it's, you know, if you've ever seen that Chris Hedges show on Contact, where he talks to, it said, I think, what is it, the looming food crisis, it was called. Check it out, because animal agriculture is not going to be able to feed the planet. But if we actually became vegan, there would be continents free that we use for animal agriculture, and we still wouldn't need those continents to be able to feed all the people on the planet. And that, I'll show you that other meme that I like to show, which is from that same study of 114 countries with the 40,000 farms from farm to fork. Look how much land is free. I mean, isn't that just, I find that the most amazing information. So anyway, the bottom line is, other beings on the planet, like insects, and they're on their way out. They're dying en masse in Europe, and it's actually it could be the case that we will have no insects on the planet, and that will be the end of us. And that's very sad, just for their own sake, because they have a right to live just like we do. But we will be on our way out when they go, probably well before they go. So, you know, the planet doesn't need us. It doesn't need it. The environment doesn't need us. In fact, it would fare much better without us. But the environment needs insects and those tiny animals that we think are not important. The tiny animals we think are not important are incredibly important in size, their size means nothing to their importance, to their own life, and to the environment, and the environment that we need to survive. So what would happen if humans, vanish from the planet? If the planet could do a happy dance, if the planet could have a celebration, it would. And what would happen? It would have a celebration of life once we went. So anyway, that's really all I wanted to say, but please go vegan. Please check out my comprehensive vegan resource in podcast form, howtogovegan.org. It's really, really something special when you become vegan. You don't even realize when you first become vegan how much of an impact it will make, not only on your mind and on your body, but just how you move about in the world. It's one of those things that you really don't fully appreciate until you've been vegan for a few years, and then you think, I can't even imagine not being vegan. And the only regret that you'll have is that you didn't become vegan sooner. So that's something to just think about, that, because this is so important. And I hope that you don't sort of, when I do these videos about veganism, I hope that you don't say to yourself, well, I'm not interested in that. I'm more interested in anti-war and anti-imperialism and other social justice issues. This is a social justice issue. In fact, it's one of the greatest social justice issues of our time, veganism. And a lot of people are recognizing that now. There are so many vegans on the planet. There are millions. And in Great Britain, it's growing exponentially. So it's an ethical position. It's not a diet. It's not a lifestyle. It's not daunting. It's not hard and all those sort of things. It's not a sacrifice. It really is. It's an ethical position that will absolutely transform your life in good ways. And you'll be so glad that you became vegan. So when I do these videos, these vegan videos, which I do probably once every couple of weeks, sometimes once a week, it depends, please try and tune into them, because I think something might resonate with you if you're not vegan. And one day, if you become vegan, you'll be so glad that you did. So glad. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you like the content and click the notifications bell. Otherwise, you don't receive updates. Please like if you like the content, and please leave comments. I always enjoy your comments. If you have any questions about veganism, please leave them in the comments section. I'd be happy to try and answer them. Till next time. Bye for now.